Dear writer.
Dear writer.
Dear writer.
Dear writer.
Dear writer.
Dear writer. Sometimes when we are writing, it can feel like we're very isolated, we can get down on ourselves, and we can wonder if what we're doing really matters. It can be really, really difficult to pick ourselves up on those harder days. And that's when it's really helpful to have a village of people who understand what we're doing, who support us, who encourage us, and pick us back up when we need a little help. In the previous installment of this video, Dear Writer, you saw the encouragement of a bunch of other writers. And in this video, I want you to hear some encouragement from some people that matter a whole lot to those writers, and those are the readers. So whenever you're having a hard day, feel free to come back to this video and take some comfort in the village of people that love the words that you write.
Dear authors, I love your creativity. I love the worlds you create. I love your characters. Just keep on doing the best that you can do. Don't worry about timing. You get your books out when you get them out, because if I'm a fan, I'm gonna wait for your books however long it takes. If it takes 10 years, 15 years, I will wait for it. I will be there ready to read your book. And so just keep on doing your best, and that's all anybody can ask of you. I would ask that you get it out before I die, but you know, if that doesn't happen, I guess at that point I'm not gonna care.
Dear authors, I want to say thank you. Thank you for creating characters that are a friend to me on a bad day. Thank you for creating worlds that feed into my imagination in ways that I had never expected. Thank you for creating beautiful writing that contributes to art and culture and entertainment in ways that are immeasurable. Thank you for doing what you do, because I appreciate it, and I know many, many others who do too. When you're having a bad day, when you're feeling unproductive, I just want you to know that you are a valued part of this community, and that as a reader, as a reviewer, I respect what you do, I respect your craft, and I will always be there to bat for you whenever you're feeling rough. If you ever need a friend, and if you ever need someone to talk to, don't ever hesitate to reach out to me. Because authors, you are an integral part of any society, and I thank you.
Dear writer. If only I had the words to express how much your stories mean to readers like me. Your words hold so much value. They inspire, spark joy, provide comfort, create bonds, and can pull someone to some of the hardest days. I know it might not feel like it right now, but I promise that there is light at the end of the tunnel. Both your future self and your future readers will be so grateful that you never let yourself give up. And it's okay if it takes longer than you wanted or expected. Just take all the time you need, and we'll be here to support you whenever you are ready. So please don't let anyone, and especially not your own mind, tell you that your story is not worth telling. It is, and I can't wait to read it one day. Thank you for everything.
You're a writer. It's easy to lose hope in a world that seems to devalue the written word, where it's difficult to find the signal amidst the growing cacophony of social media, disinformation, and AI bots that generate cheap text devoid of any real meaning. What is the value of being a writer in an age that debases the written word itself? Stories are at the heart of what it means to be human, to express our creativity, our ideas, our values, our dreams. The written word captures the soul of humanity, something that AI can never do. In your work, dear writers, you express endless forms most beautiful and most wonderful, to paraphrase Darwin, putting that very essence of humanity onto the page. The stories you create connect with readers around the world, often at a very deep level, creating a community founded on a shared love of the story. This is a community that knows no geographical boundaries, and one that can live in perpetuity. The body may perish, but the written word lives on. The story is your bold declaration. We were here, this is who we were, who we are, and who we hope to become. In the immortal words of J.R.R. Tolkien, not all those who wander are lost. Sometimes we wander, but we are not lost. It's all part of the journey.
Dear author, as a reader, I know that there are authors out there that I have not read that do everything that I value most as a reader. Whether it's in terms of the way they approach plot, character, setting, theme. And I just hope that in my lifetime I discover as many of these authors as I can. Now let's flip that. There are readers out there waiting for you, waiting for what it is that you bring to your stories. These readers value what you do best. So when you have those days of doubt that all of us artists have, realize that there's readers waiting specifically for you.
Dear writer, take care of yourself. Be kind to yourself. Remember, this is a journey that you're on, not a race. And while we, your readers, always look forward to your next installment, your health, your happiness, your overall well-being is the most important thing that you could spend time maintaining. So take that vacation, go on that hike, start that new hobby, put down the pen, and pick up that book you've been wanting to start for yourself. And most importantly, leave the guilt at the door. Make sure you're taking care of your heart and mind so that your stories can take care of ours. We will wait for as long as you need us to. We love you and we love your stories. So please, dear writer, take care of yourself.
Dear writer, you may not see it yourself, you may not know the specifics, but someone somewhere has got a smile on their face because of what you've written. Thank you so much for doing what you do and providing us a story and a world that we can escape into.
Dear writer, writing is hard. We all know that. And yeah, the writing process itself is already difficult, and then there is another matter, and that's usually about finding audience. What if after all the hard process you do, and then the book is done and you don't have any audience reading your books? But I want to say this, do not give up. There is always an audience. One step at a time, focus on one person at a time. And I guarantee you this, there is always at least one reader. You might never know them, but there is always one reader who benefit from your storytelling, from your books. Focus on that, and remember that when you finish a book, that means you might have changed a person's life for the better. It might only be for a few hours or sometimes a lifetime. It is definitely okay to take a break, but do not give up. As a fantasy reader myself, I am always grateful for all the stories that being poured into this world for all of us to read.
Dear writer, your stories have the ability to not only teach and inspire, but to take people on amazing adventures. If you're struggling with your writing and with your personal life, just know that what you're doing matters to so many people. Stories can teach us about life and about ourselves and make us introspective. And what you are doing is of value and so worth it. Keep going. Your story matters.
Dear writer, you're creating amazing worlds. Amazing worlds not just for you and for your characters, but for us and me specifically as a reader. I can't wait to live in the world and experience it alongside you and your characters. And more than anything, I can't wait to read the story that you are going to tell.
Dear writer, the fact that you've created a world that we want to escape to, that you've created characters that we love or even hate, is truly beautiful. That you went and you decided that your story was worth telling, and you decided to put it on the page and share it with us is truly remarkable, and you deserve all the praise in the world for doing that, because there's a lot of us that don't have that courage. If you're feeling down about that next book, just know that us fantasy readers will be waiting as long as you need to write that book, because it will be worth the wait.
Dear writer, I want to offer some encouragement if you're ever struggling on your creative path or experiencing writer's block. I myself am not an aspiring writer of fiction, so I'm going to draw this advice from someone who was a great writer, and that is Rilke. And this is from Letters to a Young Poet, and the quote is, "Reflect on the world that you carry within yourself, and name this thinking what you wish. Your innermost happening is worth all your love." And I think it's the truth that each of us carries an inner world that is unique from anyone else's inner world. And if you're called to being a writer, that means it's your journey to manifest that world onto paper and share it with others. So I hope you honor your path, and I send you all my love.
Remember, never stop reading. Reading will always help you be a better writer. On the flip side of that, it is highly likely that you are your own worst critic. So if you're down in the dumps and can't stop just thinking how much you hate your writing, find something useful in that criticism or move on. More than likely, you'll be able to write better if you get a fresh change of scenery and a clean slate, whether it's a new scene, a new book, a completely new universe, whatever. Come back to it later, because I promise you it'll look better with fresh eyes. And thirdly, always write what you love, because why else would you do anything else? This is storytelling, and if you love what you're writing, it'll most definitely show.
Dear writers, you might be struggling with your book right now, but just know that your books change people's lives. I can't count the number of books I have read that have influenced the way I view the world, or how I look at stories, or even the way that I think. Don't stop. Don't quit. Keep going. We're rooting for you. If you have a story to tell, only you can tell that story. Nobody else can tell it for you. And tell the story that you want to tell. Don't worry about what others think. If you have a story to tell, it probably means that you need that story. And oftentimes, if you need a story, somebody else needs the story as well. Keep going.
Dear writer, are you feeling stressed about deadlines? Are you worried you're not penning the sentence just perfect? It feels overwhelming, the task that you've taken on. Well, just remember that none of it will really matter, because one day the universe will expand to the point where everything is just cold and dead, and there will be no light. All the suns will be burnt out. There'll be no more photons to reach our eyes or anything like that. So whether it's 100 million years, a couple billion years, it's all for naught. So don't stress out too much. You're not doing this for any other reason than the love of the game. Try to keep that in mind. I hope this helps.
Dear writer, it's Kate from the Literary Apothecary, and I just wanted to send just a couple words of encouragement. Keep doing what you're doing, because you are changing lives. You provide worlds for us to escape to when we're having bad days, characters to fall in love with or become best friends with when we've lost all hope in humanity. You provide life-changing experiences with your words. You are making a difference in our lives, and we just want you to keep doing what you're doing. Don't give up, because you are changing lives, and we love you for it. So keep being you and provide us with those books that we love to read. Mwah. And I love you all to the moon and back.
Dear writer, what you do is important. You're not just putting words on page, you're not just writing a story. You are opening up the world for a small-time girl, giving her an opportunity to visit big worlds, do big things, see big things, learn big things. You are opening up not just the world to her, not just other worlds to her, but opening up her mind. And that is such an important thing. And so I hope that you understand how great what you do is. And thank you from this small town girl.
Dear writer, we all have those days where we doubt ourselves. As a reviewer, sometimes I think this big booktuber already did a review, what more can I add? But I as a reader is different. The things I take away from book are different. Even I have people who told me that they felt the same way as I did. Only you can tell the story the way you want to. You will always find those people who resonate with your writing. Keep writing.
Dear writer, are you having trouble writing? Do you have writer's block? Do you feel like just breaking your pencil in half and throwing it across the room? Or maybe putting up your fist and punching a hole through the wall? Well, I got a tip for you. Take a step outside, pour yourself a favorite drink, grab a little banana duck front, and enjoy. Or kill off one of your main characters.
Dear writer, when you have bad days, I want you to remember that the things in life most worth doing are often insanely difficult, incredibly time-consuming, and will push you beyond your personal boundaries. I want you to remember the people who love your stories and your characters. You bring us life and joy in your writing. I want you to remember every single person who's left you an absolutely glowing review that made you smile. But most importantly, I want you to remember you. I want you to remember the first time you thought about writing a cool story, whether you were 5 or whether you were 50. Don't give up on that person. It's worth doing.
Books in many ways have shaped me as a person, really challenged the way I view things and given me something to aspire toward for a lot of the characters. It's also helped me to reflect a lot on who I am and how far I've come as I see myself in the characters that I read. And I think for any author that loves to write and it feels discouraged, I would just want them to remember how impactful stories are in the world, in the way we reflect on the world, and just in each individual that reads them, how they process things. I think the world would be a very different place without books, and I'm very, very grateful that we have them.